Hey there, everyone. Today we are going to mash it up, boop, boop, all about backgrounds. I've got videos, newer and older, that talks about all these different ways that you can make backgrounds for your cards. We're using different sprays, we're using inks. I'm even going to show you how you can use a glue gun. It's super, super fun. So we're going to get into it. It's a long one, but there is so much value in this video on how to make backgrounds for your cards. You're going to be like, wow! So let's get to it.
To create the background, I've got a couple of different color gelatos here. Now, I did prep my cardstock with some gesso. Anytime I use gelatos, I prep my cardstock with gesso. It just makes the gelatos blend and move around so much easier. So I went ahead and scribbled some of that gelato at the top of the card. I blended it a little bit with my finger, and now I'm just spritzing the mess out of it with some water. Perfect Pearls would have been pretty here too. And I'm holding it upright so all of the drip marks go down. I'm going to keep adding color until I'm satisfied. And it took me a while to get satisfied because I kept messing with it. And had I just left it alone the first time, it would have been great. But you can keep putting in color, putting down color, and just until you're satisfied. And then just hold it upright, spritz, and you'll create all these cool drip lines. It's really cool. It creates a really fun sky, I think, in my opinion. So once it's dry, completely dry, you can see here it lightened up just a little bit. You can see I was not happy with the red and the orange, so I'm going to go in and add some more color. But that's the fun thing. You can just play and continue to play until you get the look that you want. You guys know I love my gelatos and they're calorie free.
I want to thank Craftsy today for sponsoring my video, and they are offering the first 1,000 new members a whole year of premium membership for just $1.49. I'm not even kidding. Craftsy is an online hub for all things creative. They have more than 2,000 classes in over 20 different categories. Of course, paper crafting, photography, knitting, cake decorating, woodworking, crochet, you think it, they've got it. They probably have a course on how to teach your kids to tie their shoes. But in addition to the regular card making, digital card making, scrapbooking, all the things that we love, I found something amazing. Paper flowers. I'm super big into gardening and cut flowers right now, and I was so excited to see this course by Kate Araucon, is how I'm going to pronounce it. It's all about making these super cool paper flowers. This is all paper, you guys. Look at how gorgeous and realistic this is. I was totally stoked. So this is a class me and my daughter are going to take. So if you're interested in the deal of $1.49 for an entire year, no strings attached, you can click the QR code on the screen or in the link below. Remember, the first 1,000 people that are new members to click that link or that QR code will get a year's membership for just $1.49.
And the background I am creating today with some distress spray stains. Wait till you see how easy this is, seriously. That's a piece of watercolored cardstock. I just spritzed with some water first. This is peacock feathers. I gave it one spritz. And then I'm going to give it one spritz of chip sapphire, and that is it. And I walked away. That was the hardest part, walking away, but I went and found something else to do. Maybe I ate something, I don't know. But look at that background. Isn't that cool? And you saw how it took what? It took like 10 seconds to make. Those would be fun to make with like galaxy backgrounds and things like that too. And again, little to no effort. I just used two different color distress spray stains. That is hard for me to say for some reason. Anyway, I love the freeing organic look of it, but I think you had to get that by walking away. Don't hit your heat gun on it. Just walk away. Go eat something. Fold some laundry or something. I'm going to start by making a few backgrounds using the stencil, just using the same stencil but creating backgrounds in a different way. The first is using some embossing paste here. There's many different brands on the market of embossing paste, and I'm just applying that through a stencil with a palette knife. If you don't have a palette knife, you can use a butter knife or the edge of a cardstock, whatever you want to do to spread this embossing paste through the stencil. And then I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to move on with the next background. I'm using Aquatini, Flirty Fuchsia, Tiara, and Orange Twist. And I'm just going to blend these inks through the stencil the traditional way that you've seen many people do ink blending through the stencil. I've gone ahead and adhered my stencil on the back of the cardstock. I did it because I'm notorious for tearing my cardstock when I peel up the tape. But I also want to make sure that my cardstock stays in place. I find that when I get lazy and don't do this step, I shift my stencil out of place when I'm blending the inks, and then it takes me more time to line that stencil back up than it did to blend the whole background. So I did not get lazy this time. Now these inks blend beautifully. These are very, very, very juicy ink pads, so you do not need a lot of ink. I'm tapping my blending tool very lightly onto the pad. I'm starting off my paper and working on, and it's just beautiful. Beautiful the results that you get. You can be more heavy-handed and even get brighter, vibrant colors. Wanted to show you the same colors on craft cardstock in case some of you are interested in how the inks would look on craft cardstock. So I'm using the same inks here, and I'm trying to do the same pattern, apply them in the same places that I did on the white cardstock, so you can see the difference here. Another thing is these inks also react with water, so if you wanted to, you could flick on some water with the paintbrush, and you'll get those really cool water droplets that I'm known for doing. I can't get enough of it. This is some Nina Desert Storm cardstock. And then when I peel that back, just look how beautiful that is. So you can see the difference with the white and the craft. Now I was glancing over at my stencil and I saw that I had some ink still sitting on top of the stencil, so I thought I would try to see if I can get an impression by taking some water and misting that stencil with all the ink all over it, and then pressing some cardstock onto that stencil and try to get an image transfer. And I did get a very nice, light, subtle ink transfer by doing that. Then I thought, hey, let's see if we can watercolor through the stencil. So I took the same colors and smushed them down onto a craft sheet I'm working off of. You could also use an acrylic block or some packaging from your stamps, anything slippery if you don't have a craft sheet like I do, or you could laminate a piece of cardstock, whatever. And anyway, I have a water glass off to the side, by the way, and I am just picking up the color. Now, the more water you use, the lighter the color will be. If you want a more intense color, then don't pick up so much water. But you can watercolor with these as well. I just love this funky design stencil. I think it's so much fun. There's a lot you can do with the patterns here. And then I have this watercolored background here. It's very, very pretty. And you can see the difference between the two. And that was watercolored cardstock, by the way. All right, now I wanted to create kind of an ombre look. I wanted to see if I could create like an intense color and then move my way down the page, but using the same color ink. So I'm using Aquatini, which is without doubt my favorite color. I love those aqua color families so much. So I'm going in with a very heavy hand and applying the ink directly onto the stencil, and then I'm just lightening my hand as I move my way down. You can see I'm not really picking up any more ink or anything. And look at that beautiful gradation of color that you get from the one ink color and using the stencil. I adore that background. Right, at this point, the first panel that I did with the embossing paste is dry, so I'm just going to go on with a couple of the colors here, and I'm just going to apply the color directly over the embossing paste. And the embossing paste is going to allow that ink to stick. And I just think this really gives some fun raised dimension here. So pretty. Flirty Fuchsia, Tierra, and the orange color is the colors that I used here. Orange Twist. Orange Twist. All right, so here's a look at all the backgrounds that we just created, and here's a look at that finished card here. The dimension from the embossing paste and the ink color from the stencil, it's just beautiful. Here's another card I pulled together where I did that basic ink blending onto the stencil. And here's another look at the card with the same ink blending onto some craft cardstock as well. And here's a look at all 4 cards. Today I'm going to be doing some ink techniques for quick backgrounds. I'm going to be working with Catherine Pooler ink. Samba, Mardi Gras, and Pixie Dust are the 3 colors I have there. First, let's kind of create this cool background. So I went ahead and smushed those 3 colors onto my glass mat there that I'm working off of. And then I'm taking some water and I'm just spritzing at the top to create little drop effects. So I'm going to keep mushing and spraying and mushing and spraying until I get what I like. I tried this a couple different ways. I took the ink directly to the paper and it kind of was too intense at the top. So after trial and error, I found that this is the way that I like it because I can kind of control what color I put down. So you can see the more color you put at the top, and once you hold your card upright and spritz down, it's going to create more color and more drop effects. You can go back and add. You can dry in between if you don't want your colors to turn muddy or if you're trying to emphasize on one color more than the other. Totally up to you. But I just kept doing this over and over and over again until I got the look that I wanted. So that's the first panel with all the drip marks. I like it, so I'm going to set that aside. Let's work on the next one. I'm going to use the same colors here. So I'm just going on and just swiping it. I did add in It's a Girl, so I'm using all the same colors that I just used, plus It's a Girl, which is that pink. You can leave it like that. You can go in with blues and create a beautiful ocean scene and leave it just like that. Totally up to you. Think about all the possibilities here. I did take some water and spray it into my hand, and I'm flicking on because these inks are water reactive. So I'm going to go in with my heat it tool again, and you can see I didn't even dab any of the water away this time. Usually I take a paper towel and dab up all those water droplets, but instead I'm just heating it. And it's kind of like magic how that just came together. So that's kind of a very busy background. How about a 20-second background? No joke. Take some ink, this is It's a Girl, and then I'm going to pull in that red samba and just swipe it onto your card panel there to create kind of an ombre look. You can go and add ink over, right here is a little too much of a harsh line for the red, so I'm going to go back in with the pink and kind of even it out, and in under 20 seconds you'll have yourself a nice background here. All right, so I've got these 3 backgrounds here. All right, so here's the little ombre, the little 20-second card we created. Let's create a tone-on-tone look. I'm going to add some samba to that beautiful background there. Press it down. I am going to grab my Baron just to make sure I get a good impression here. And then lift it up. Bada bang! Check it. Isn't that pretty? Today I have some fun backgrounds I'm creating using a glue gun. I can't wait to get into it, but just real quick, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and click on that subscribe button right now, and I will forever be thankful. This is a glue gun that I purchased off of Amazon. It's actually a mini glue gun. I purchased it a long time ago and never used it. So I saw it when I was kind of purging and I thought, hey, what can I do with this glue gun? So again, it's a mini glue gun. They have a regular size glue gun as well. So this is a craft mat that I'm working off of, and I am just scribbling down some various designs. They look ugly. That's okay to think that. I think this right here is going to be my attempt at making a tree. Don't laugh. Stop laughing. I know you're laughing. It's okay. I can't draw a circle without the help of a stencil or die. So, what are you going to do? So I'm just scribbling down. Now here's some tips that I picked up along the way. Make sure your glue gun lines are thick, because when you peel this up, you don't want it so flimsy. It's just going to break apart in your hand, and try to keep all of your lines connected, if you will. So once this dries, here's another tree. Whatever. It dries really, really quick. I just took my fingernails and kind of scratched it a little bit underneath, and it peeled up without any problem. This is an art journal I've had forever, literally. Not kidding, had to dust it off. Haven't used it in God knows how long. And I'm just going to try this out here before I take it to some card bases here. So here is a tree, I believe, a glue tree, glue stencil, whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of lining up on my paper here, just manipulating the glue however you see fit. And this stuff washes off. I just ran this glue under water. It's dried glue. I'm telling you, it's a stencil. So the thicker that you create it, the more durable it's going to be, if that makes any sense. I'm going to just spray some distress oxide sprays down just to see how it works. And then when I lift it up, I'm left with this beautiful, beautiful background here. So I'm going to do the other page too. And this actually is my favorite. This is like, I don't even know what. I just did a whole bunch of scribbles of glue. That's all I did. There it is. And this is going to be my favorite stencil. I guess I'm going to call this glue stencil, right? I don't know what to call it. My favorite one yet. So once I was completely satisfied with the fact that it was going to work on paper with my sprays, I decided, let's go ahead and create some fun backgrounds that I can turn into cards later on. So that's what we're going to do here. All this is watercolored cardstock. Here's that stencil I just used on the paper on the art journal. So again, I'm going in with a mixture of oxide sprays, distress sprays, and I even have some Alta Nu sprays I've thrown in here. Any kind of sprays I have is the easiest way to create these beautiful backgrounds through this glue art stencil here. So there I just sprayed a few different colors. Again, this is my favorite template, if you will, of all times. I just think it's so fun and freeing, and there's just so much. Now think, if you have artistic capability, which I do not, think how awesome this would be for you, right? I just think it would be awesome, awesome, awesome. But since I don't, all mine are going to be just organic, free-handed, graphic, if you will. So basically that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to try to show off some of the other little glue stencils that I made. But oh, yeah, I think this was my attempt at a flower. Let's roll with it. It's a beautiful, beautiful flower. What kind of flower could that be? An impatient? I don't know much about flowers. to be honest with you. It's a flower. Let's roll with it. Now there's other ways that you can, create beautiful backgrounds. You can drag the glue art stencil through some paint and then just drag it along your paper. To be honest, I didn't think of that until right now, or I would have done that in the video here, but hey, that's an option for you as well. I did wash all of these little glue stencils off and put them in a drawer, so I'll use them over and over and over again until they completely fall apart. Ooh, 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 here I did do one. That has the leftover spray that I had on it, so I just pressed it down onto a piece of cardstock, and then I am in love with that one, actually. I really love that one. Isn't that cool? It looks like I just took all these various pieces of string and drug it around. Don't tell my recipient the secret that really didn't take any time at all to create. I want them to think I spent hours and hours on this handmade masterpiece for them. Again, look, I'm just throwing my glue on there. I mean, I'm but anyway, they turn out really cool. That's the bottom line here. So there's a lot of fun that you can do with it. You can add double colors on here. So there I went ahead and sprayed that with one blob of glue that I just spread all over some paper. Here I am going to grab my favorite one. Here I'm back to my favorite one. Plus it's the biggest one. It's the easiest one to handle, let's be honest. And you can go in and add a second color, especially if you're using those Distress Oxide sprays. They layer on top of each other beautifully, and they don't mix and turn to mud. As long as you let the spray dry before you add a new color, oxides will layer on top of each other over and over and over again. So I just wanted to show you that I rinsed all this stuff off in the sink, and you can see how it came completely clean. My hands are a mess, but my glue art is intact and clean, so I toss it in a drawer and do it again, probably with my daughter, because I think she'll have fun with this, a lot of fun with this. So here's a couple looks at some more backgrounds I made, just scribble wibble, scribble wibble. I don't even know if that's a word. Look at all these. How many do you think this is? I'll tell you at the end of the video. I made all of these in today's video. See if I can show you some of it. With no stamps. I made it with one single tool that only cost $7. And this is it. You actually get 4 of these in a pack for $7, stamping foam. They're 3 inches by 4 1/4. And I do like that you get 4. Let me tell you about this. Now, this has been around. I remember when it came out and thinking, whatever. I remember grabbing it, and it's been sitting in a drawer since its release. And I was crazy not to give this a try. So all you do is you apply your heat gun to it for about 5 to 10 seconds. This is the Ranger Heat It tool. Any heat tool I'm sure will work. And then you take whatever you want to use to get your impression. This is actually a produce sack. My avocados came in this, so I just removed the avocados, and I'm going to use this for a demonstration. So again, you just heat the side up for 5 to 10 seconds. It doesn't change in appearance, so just kind of count in your mind to 10 seconds, and then press whatever you're using into the block, or you can press the block into whatever you're using. I'm going to use a couple different things through this video to show you. But that's it, and it leaves this gorgeous impression. Those impressions, that will stay there until you add heat to it. There is nothing that's going to remove that impression until heat. I even cleaned off the block, and you can clean the block with water, or I have a stamp cleaner from Brutus Monroe. I use that as well. And the impression still stays there. So that impression is locked in place until you add heat to it. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's do some designs. This is a placemat. This is literally what I eat off of when I'm sitting at the dining room table. I'm going to go ahead and heat that up again, 5 to 10 seconds. And then I'm going to press that into that middle area. Whatever you see that has texture that's cool, you can do. You can even take the block and go press it against the wall or something if you have textured walls. Doesn't matter. You just heat it up. But you have to move quickly. After you heat it, you got to pretty much make that impression within a few seconds. I think it's so cool. What do you do with these impressions? What can you add to them? Well, of course, you can add ink, and it's double-sided. So you get 4 in a pack, so really you have 8 impressions you can make, and you can even do the side if you want to, the side of the block as well. So I just went ahead and swinked on some ink color, just easy peasy. And look at that. That is my placemat. My placemat. So don't use permanent inks, no archival inks, because that's not going to come up when you clean it up because it's archival ink. Those aren't made to come up. So you can get dual prints, like ghost prints, if you will. That's one benefit of it. Another benefit is it's kind of like the sky's the limit with this. And all of the backgrounds I'm going to make, I am not using one single stamp. Not one. So there I swinked on some ink. I took an impression and then I sprayed it with water, one spritz, took an impression, and then I get basically what's called a ghost print. You can add multicolor inks. Really, the sky's the limit. And if you just kind of just dart your eyes around the room, I see some impressions on a chair I could go and take a print of. A candle as I'm scanning through the room. I mean, really, the sky's the limit. So I made all these backgrounds with an ink pad and my placemat and this foam block. Pretty cool, I think. So what else can you do? What other mediums, I guess, per se, can you use on this block? Well, let's figure it out. I still have Nouveau paste. Those are really the last of my pastes that I kept in my stash. So I'm going to see if this works. So I went ahead and just put this directly on the block. I was risking it here. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get this off or not, but hey, that's what I'm here for. Let's try it out and see what works and see what doesn't. So because these pastes work on dark cardstock, this was the perfect opportunity. So I thought I would press the paper into the image this time, into the impression, I guess I should say, giving it a good press. I want to make sure all that paste transfers. Then I'm going to do it again. This time I'm pressing, I'm putting all my weight. I'm getting a calf workout that time. Oh, this is so cool. I think I got 3 impressions from this one. I did do a little spritz on that final one, just one spritz. None of the cardstock I'm using is watercolor cardstock, by the way. This is just regular black and white cardstock. So I put the foam and the little spatula thing in a bucket of water until I have time to go to the sink. I do not want any of this drying on my tools, and you'll be happy to know that it rinsed right off. Probably because I didn't let it dry on the block. So keep that in mind if you do decide to use pastes. But this is pretty cool. Now, if you stamp straight, you can use this as your card panel, or if you stamp crooked, like I sometimes do, you can just cut it off with your trimmer. Now, don't forget about your pet prints. There's no video footage of me actually pressing my dog's paw into the image because she was like, "What are you doing?" But this is a great opportunity to do pet prints and even hand prints. Got to do small hands though, like little kid prints. My daughter's 9 and her hand was too big. But hello, prints without putting ink and nasty stuff all over their feet, or without making a stepping stone and putting their paw prints in like cement or whatever it is. This is a fake flower, by the way. You can do it with real flowers too, but I have these fake flowers for when I do photo staging. So I'm going to try it this way, and I actually did an impression and I didn't like it. And so no problem. You just heat it up until the design goes away. Look at that. It's like magic. And then I did it again. So if you don't get a perfect impression the first time, just give it a whirl. Just heat it up again. And this one, by the way, this block, I love it. It's my absolute favorite. I had a little divot up there in the top. I just kind of took my heat gun and kind of smoothed that out with the heat. But this one is my absolute favorite, this one block. It's actually sitting on my desk. I didn't heat it to remove the image. I love it. So let's try sprays. If you have any sprays in your stash, these are distress spray stains. You can also use oxides or any kind of, water-based sprays. Again, nothing permanent, or you're going to permanently stain your block. I made a funny, not really. So this time I just sprayed it. I misted it with a little bit of water and just regular cardstock. I just pressed right into it. That's a nice deep impression. So between each print of the sprays, I do give it a little spritz one time just to move those sprays around. Again, this is regular cardstock. This is not watercolored cardstock. And look at those. That's pretty neat. So again, I'm going to do a couple spritzes. I'm going to see how many prints I can get from this. So this will be my 3rd print here. Pressing it harder and harder each time. Ooh, I love that one. I love that. So now it's like all the paint that's left over is in the crevices of that block. I just love it. So these are pretty cool. All right, acrylic paint is something else you can use on these foam blocks. I've had a couple people say, hey, I don't have ink pads, but I do have paint. Well, here's something you can use your paint with. So I'm just doing 2 different colors. I didn't know how much to use. This is the first time I've tried these blocks. This is the first time I'm trying each of these mediums. So I went a little heavy-handed on the red. Not to worry, I'll just add a little bit more yellow. And I do have a jar of water off to the side to put my paintbrush in. And anyway, so here we go. Let's see what happens. Here's the first print I'm going to take. So this is going to be a very, very deeply saturated print there. It actually stuck to the block. And that is so cool. But I'm going to keep going. And again, between each print, I am going to spritz it with a little bit of water, and not to beat a dead horse, but this is regular cardstock. This time I did 2 spritzes of water, and I'm just going to keep taking prints. And I had in my mind that I was going to take prints until no more paint came up, and that's what I basically did here. I mean, in about 30 seconds, you can get
like 8 to 9 backgrounds. I mean, it's insane. And I love this image. I don't know, sometimes it reminds me of like a bird sitting in branches. Sometimes it reminds me of berries. Like it's just cool. I don't know what else to say about it, but I made all of these prints. Just I could have kept going, by the way, but I stopped because I figured y'all wanted to see something else. But this was so cool. So just pick 2 colors of paint that won't, if they mix together, they're not going to turn into mud. Consult your color wheel if you need to. All right, so this is actually an art piece that I did a long time ago. I did some dripping, and there's actually paper triangles that I Mod Podged on there, so there's a lot of texture there. So look around and see if you have any textured pieces that you can use. Textured frames, textured if you make your own art, whatever, I don't know. But just press it into there. I tried to find a part that was really textured. Because that is like a canvas board, it's very flimsy in the back, so that particular side didn't come out as great as I wanted to. So I'm going to press up there at the top where there's a little bit more of a backing, and that's a lot better. So I think the more peaks and valleys you have when you take your impression, the better off you're going to get. So here I just really heavy-handedly inked up the block, and then I spritzed on some spray stain, it looks like, and it looks like a bloody mess, doesn't it? That does not look that pretty. But anyway, so I'm going to press it on here and see what we have here. So press, 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 press. And that's pretty cool, but I didn't get a lot of those triangles. I really wanted a lot of those triangles to come through, which is why I said try to get as much texture as you can. So I'm like, meh, that's okay. So then I decided to go very lightly with a dark color, very lightly with my ink pad. So hopefully this is going to pick up a lot of those triangles, and voila, wait till you see. I mean, it's amazing. Just using a very light hand really gave me all of the texture there. And again, I just clean it off, and here's the 3 prints I took from there. And again, your image will stay there until you add heat to it. So don't worry about that. All right, so again, let's try an embossing folder. Stencils will work the exact same way. Just heat up the side that you want to, pick up the print from or the impression from. I don't know what the technical term is. I'm going to do both sides of the block. So this is a 3D embossing folder. I know a lot of people don't have those, but that's all I have in my stash. So just, that's why I'm showing you both sides. So if you didn't have a 3D embossing folder, obviously you would only get one impression from it. But anyway, I did both sides. I don't know, I think that's a dotted embossing folder. Then I'm just going to take some ink pad and just press it onto, that's a really nice and juicy ink pad there. Press it onto the embossing folders, and then here's where the time comes. Heat it up 5 to 10 seconds. By now you know the drill, and you just, whatever's comfortable to you, whether you press the block into the thing you're taking a print from, or you take the thing you're taking a print from and press it into the block. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. But anyway, here you go. So now I've got both sides. And at first I took a piece of scratch paper to keep my hands clean, but then I realized I really should be taking a piece of cardstock to get a print. So that's the print, and that's the print. And that one I love. When it dries, you'll see in just a second. And then that top one, I went to see if I could get another print out of it, but it didn't really come out. I don't think I pressed too hard. But regardless, here they all are. And then I rinsed that block off in the water. And here's the 3 prints. The top 2, of course, are my favorite. That top one, left one looks like a galaxy. I think it's really cool. All right, I did want to show you powders. Now, here's the texture from those avocado sack, that vegetable sack from the very beginning of the video. I wanted to see if I could use powders because I know a lot of people have various powders in their stash. They were a little hard to work with. These powders are usually so incredibly pigmented. So I started off adding a very little bit and then adding water, and there wasn't a lot there. So then I added water and then started adding more powder. And I'm just trying to move it around. The one on the right there, it's forming into something that could be cool. The one on the left, I just made it a big hot mess. But again, you have to be so careful because these powders are usually incredibly pigmented with more than just one color. It could turn into a hot mess. But hi, it's me. It's what I do. So I continue to play with it, and I did get a couple of really cool prints. They're not included in all the ones that I showed at the beginning of the video because I think this would have definitely benefited from watercolored cardstock. So I did not add heat to this block so I could do this again on watercolored cardstock. There's definitely some potential with your powders and the foam, but if you do use powders in the foam block, use watercolor cardstock. So anyway, just think of all the stuff around your house. So I'm using in the video today the vegetable sack. What did I use? A
placemat, some fake flowers, paw prints. This candle, I'm totally going to try to print this candle. So there's a lot of stuff. You just got to make sure that you heat your block up for 5 to 10 seconds and take it immediately to whatever the impression is you're trying to pick up. But how many backgrounds do you think I made? If you guessed close to 26, then that's it. I made 26 backgrounds here that I can cut down, die cut. There's a lot I can do with all these backgrounds. So the $7 tool, it really impressed me, and it's hard to impress me, I do have to say. Today's video is going to be so fun because we are going to create a whole bunch of backgrounds with a balloon. Oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. But anyway, we're gonna create a ton of them with this guy right here. Let's get to it. So this is going to be a fun video because I'm experimenting the entire time. Before I blow up my balloon, let's see what I can do with it before it's inflated. So I'm just going to press down some ink onto my surface, and then I'm just going to basically flop the balloon down into the ink after I sprayed it with a little bit of water, and you pretty much see what I'm doing here. This actually was one of the favorite backgrounds out of the 40 I probably made in the video. It's just that simple, and I was left with this super cool splotchy background. You can do it with different colors. It could be fireworks. It could be whatever you want it to be. So I thought just right off the bat, man, this is fun. Now it's time to blow up that balloon. So I blew it up, about passed out. It took me a couple tries to blow up one single balloon. And this was my next favorite way. So I went ahead, added some ink, sprayed it with water, and then I rolled the balloon in it. So I'm rolling the balloon onto some cardstock. Oh my goodness. Just that easy, just that simple. Could it be that simple? Let me do another color. Inked up my surface, added a little water, rolling the balloon in it, and bam, rolling, 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 rolling the balloon. How fun is that? You can do it with a bunch of different colors. All right, let's do it when I have two colors, a pink and a blue, and when they mix together, they'll get purple. Let's see what that looks like. So I pulled out some cardstock, and I'm doing it this way. It's just all about experimentation. I forgot to pull out watercolor cardstock, so I'm like, plip. So I pulled that off to the side. I'm going to do it again. It's best to use watercolor cardstock if you're watering down your ink, which I found that was the best way to do it because you need kind of a liquid to get that rolling going. And I just think this was so much fun. I could make these backgrounds all stinking day. Let's add a deeper color and see what happens. Again, just pressed it onto my glass mat, added some water, and then I'm just rolling it on there. So obviously the more saturated or brighter colors, you're going to get more intense results. But these are cool. Look at these different backgrounds. So you can see the difference. The one on the left was not watercolor cardstock. So you can see the water didn't quite take to it, but the other two were. Absolutely beautiful results. All right, let's just do this one more time with what's ever left on my mat there. Rolling the balloon, baby. Balloon rolling. That's where it's at. Balloon rolling technique. That's what we're calling it. So just have a blast. Any inks will work that work with water, that are water reactive. So give it a whirl and see how you like it. Again, this is all watercolored cardstock here, just different sizes I had cut. I couldn't stop. I didn't prepare enough to do, I had to go cut more watercolor panels because I didn't think I was going to have this much fun because I really had no idea what I was going to do with the balloon. All right, let's try it this way. I'm going to swink on some beautiful ink here. Make sure I get the whole, this is watercolor cardstock, again, saturated. I'm going to spray the balloon with water, and I don't know why I did that. I just was flicking on a little bit of water from the balloon, but really you can just flick on water with your fingers. So I found that was really nothing like mind-blowing. But now I'm going to press that balloon in place and really let the balloon contact the paper and let that water seep into the paper with the balloon. And look at that result. I love it. It left a blob of ink in the middle and a halo around the outside. Then I had all this leftover ink on the balloon, so I started grabbing more scraps of watercolored cardstock and just started smacking the balloon down onto the cardstock, and I got these super cool results. I love it. I was just having a blast. So much fun. All right, I decided let's see if we can do a little kissing, a
a little kissing. So I'm going to go ahead and swink on some more ink. A nice dark color will work. And now I'm going to take the balloon, spray the balloon with water, press the balloon onto the stamp that has a background on it, so it's got a little bit of texture. And then I'm going to press it, hold it in place so the water has time to seep into the cardstock. I have no idea what this is going to look like. You don't really see much of the design, but there's a lot of design left over on that balloon. So I went ahead and pressed it back onto the rest of the cardstock. And let's look at these results up close. So the first one, surprisingly, looks like a moon, right? It's gorgeous. And the second one, the actual pattern from the stamp lifts up and you can see it in the other prints that we were able to make. So it's almost got some of that pattern mixed with blowing bubbles into your results. It's so neat. And I was so amazed with all the different results I got. So before adding any more water or ink to the mat or anything, I'm just going to see how much more I can get. So I grabbed another piece of watercolored cardstock and now I'm rolling it. So instead of just pressing the balloon straight down, I'm doing a little bit of rolling. And I love that splattered look paired with a little bit of the design from that stamp. However, I still was determined to stamp with that balloon. So I'm going to give it a whirl again. Press the ink onto my glass mat, add some water to it. So I'm basically going to turn my balloon into a stamp. So I'm going to press the balloon into the ink water, then the balloon onto the stamp. Then I'm going to take the balloon and press it onto the cardstock. Let's see. I got it. I'm stamping with a balloon, guys. I'm stamping with a balloon. This is the first time for me. And I just keep adding. So that time I was just pressing the balloon straight down. But let's see if we add different, roll it or try to move it around different ways. What will we get? So here I do a little bit of rolling. I just am blown away. Think I have a ton of background stamps, a ton. And I'm going to just, cut a whole bunch of watercolor cardstock and give it a whirl. So when you're done with all these panels, I decided to cut them down because what the heck am I going to do with them? Because they were practice pieces, but they're pretty practice peaches. Hello. They're pretty practice peaches. Say that 10 times. So now I've got all these backgrounds. I'll file them behind with my backgrounds. Then if you know what my magic mug is, when I sit down, I'll grab my backgrounds, I'll grab my magic mug, and I will assemble cards in no time flat because I walk away with about 40 backgrounds when I'm done. I wanted to see, though, one more thing. Can you emboss with this? So first, I press the balloon into my embossing pad and then just press the balloon with the embossing ink onto, I don't even know if it transfers because it's clear and it's white and I can't tell. So then I just grab some embossing powder. I had some yellow embossing powder sitting on my desk, dump it up on there, and if it sticks, I know it transferred and it stuck. So I got me a nice glob of ink from the balloon and then we'll go ahead and heat set it and see if it does something miraculous because I used a balloon. So after I heat set it, I always heat set from the front and the back and that prevents warping from the paper from the heat. When I was done, okay, it's cool, but really nothing I couldn't get if I just put my ink pad directly to the paper. So this time I decided to try rocking and rolling it's not really rocking, I'm rolling the balloon onto the ink pad, and then I'm rolling the balloon onto the paper to see if any of that makes a difference. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing, dump some embossing powder on there, heat set it, and let's see what that looks like. Here are the results. Nothing really miraculous. I didn't find embossing powder in a balloon wowed me enough to want to do it again. Then I did try it with just some regular acrylic paint, just put it on my glass mat, picked it up, and you can color a whole background with this balloon. Just keep pouncing, rock it, roll it, add different colors. If you wanted to create your own colored paint, you could do that too. This was fun to do, maybe something to pull out and do with kids. I didn't find it incredibly jaw breaking, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever, like I did with the other techniques that I love with the balloon. But this was fun and something that your kids can do with you if you want. So you can obviously do this with paint and ink and so forth. So here's the look at those that I just did where I just blopped the balloon onto the cardstock with paint. So all of these backgrounds I got from a balloon and ink. Seriously, you guys probably have a balloon. I didn't have a balloon, believe it or not. So I put a Facebook post out to my Facebook group of my neighborhood and I said, do any of you guys have a balloon I can have? And I got me some balloons that way. But you don't have to buy anything. You have what you have. You already have it. You'll be done. You'll be left with all these cool backgrounds that you can use and turn them into cards, whatever. Doesn't cost you a daggum dime because you already have it. So Try it. Let me know. If you find other ways that you can use your balloon with card making, let me know in the comments. I want to know. But I hope you had fun with me. This was a different kind of video for me because it was basically just exploring what you can do with a balloon and ink pads, and I had a blast. I'll see you next time.